Spain is one of those countries people visit and instantly think, I could live here. The sunshine, the food, the beaches, the late dinners, the slower pace, the old towns, the sea views, the lifestyle. From the outside, Spain looks almost perfect, but living in Spain is very different from going there on holiday. Because once the holiday feeling wears off, you have to deal with rent, jobs, salaries, taxes, healthcare paperwork, visas, property rules, bureaucracy, language barriers, and whether the place actually works for your everyday life. So in this video, we're not asking, is Spain nice? That's too easy. We're asking something much more important. Could you actually live in Spain? Let's start with why Spain is so attractive. Spain sells one of the strongest lifestyle dreams in Europe. Warm weather, beaches, historic cities, good food, walkable streets, cafes, markets, islands, mountains, football, family culture, slower living, and a general feeling that life is not supposed to be rushed every second of the day. For a lot of people coming from the UK, Northern Europe, the US, or colder and more expensive places, Spain feels like a life upgrade. You imagine waking up near the coast, having coffee outside, eating fresh food, walking through beautiful streets, finishing work and heading to the beach, or spending weekends in places like Valencia, Malaga, Seville, Madrid, Barcelona, Alicante, Mallorca, or the Canary Islands. And honestly, that version of Spain is real. But it is not the whole picture, because the Spain you enjoy as a tourist is often very different from the Spain you experience as a resident. This is the first reality check. Holiday Spain and living in Spain are not the same thing. On holiday, Spain feels easy. You stay in a nice hotel or apartment, eat out, walk around, visit the beach, enjoy the weather, and ignore most of the boring details. But living in Spain means choosing the right city, finding somewhere to rent, dealing with paperwork, understanding healthcare access, checking your visa situation, budgeting properly, and deciding whether your income actually works there. And that is where some people get caught. They fall in love with the feeling of Spain, but they do not think enough about the systems behind actually living there. Spain can be amazing, but you need to know whether you want the Spanish lifestyle or just the Spanish holiday. When it comes to quality of life, Spain has a lot going for it. The weather is a huge factor. More daylight, warmer winters in many regions, outdoor living, and a culture where people actually spend time outside. The food is another major advantage. Fresh seafood, tapas, paella, local markets, simple ingredients, good coffee, wine, olive oil, and a strong eating out culture. Then there's the pace of life. Spain can feel less intense than places where everyone seems permanently rushed. That slower rhythm is exactly why so many people are drawn to it. But here's the catch. Spain is not one lifestyle. Living in Madrid is different from living in Valencia. Barcelona is different from Seville. Malaga is different from Bilbao. The Canary Islands are different from the Balearics. So the question isn't just, do you want to live in Spain? The real question is, which Spain could you actually live in? For quality of life, Spain can easily be an 8 or 9 out of 10 for the right person, but only if you choose the right area and your income matches your lifestyle. Now let's talk about money. A lot of people still think of Spain as cheap, and compared to places like London, New York, Amsterdam, or parts of Northern Europe, Spain can feel more affordable. But Spain is not as cheap as some people imagine, especially in popular areas. Madrid, Barcelona, Malaga, Valencia, the Balearic Islands, and parts of the coast have all become much more competitive. Rent can be a shock. Eating out can still be good value, but if you live like a tourist, your budget can disappear quickly. Groceries, transport, phone bills, and daily basics can be reasonable, but housing is where the dream can get complicated. And that is one of the biggest Spain mistakes. People compare holiday spending to real-life living costs. A holiday budget is not a life budget. If you're moving to Spain, you need to think about rent, bills, healthcare, taxes, transport, savings, emergency money, and whether your income will still feel strong once you're actually living there. Spain can offer better lifestyle value, but it is not automatically cheap. Housing is probably one of the biggest reality checks in Spain. The lifestyle is attractive, which means a lot of people want the same places. That pushes up demand in the cities and coastal areas everyone talks about. Barcelona, Madrid, Malaga, Valencia, Alicante, Mallorca, Ibiza, and the Canary Islands all have very different rental markets, but the same basic issue appears again and again. The nicest places are not always affordable, and the affordable places are not always where you imagined living. Tourism also affects this. In some areas, short-term rentals and holiday apartments can make long-term housing harder to find or more expensive. So before moving, you need to ask, do I want a city lifestyle, a beach lifestyle, a smaller town, an island, a local neighborhood, or an expat bubble, because each one gives you a completely different version of Spain. And if you choose wrong, Spain can go from dream life to daily frustration very quickly. So where would people actually consider living? Madrid is best for career opportunities, big city life, transport, nightlife, and culture. Barcelona has beaches, international energy, architecture, business, and lifestyle, but it can also feel expensive, crowded, and very tourist-heavy. Valencia is one of the strongest options for balance: beach, city, food, transport, and a slightly calmer feel than Madrid or Barcelona. Malaga is popular because of weather, beaches, expat life, and access to the Costa del Sol. Alicante is often more relaxed and can be attractive for people who want coastal living without the same intensity as the biggest cities. Seville gives you culture, beauty, food, and a strong Spanish feel, but the summer heat can be intense. The Canary Islands are interesting for remote workers because of climate, nature, beaches, and a slower pace. The Balearic Islands can be beautiful, but cost and seasonal tourism can be serious factors, so Spain gives you options, but that also means you need to choose carefully. The wrong area can completely change your experience. This is where Spain becomes less dreamy for some people. Spain is a fantastic lifestyle country, but it is not always the best salary country. If you are moving with remote income, savings, a pension, investment income, or a business, Spain can make a lot of sense. But if you are relying on the local job market, you need to do proper research. Local salaries can be lower than in places like the UK, Germany, Switzerland, the US, or the Netherlands. And in some industries, jobs can be competitive, especially if you do not speak Spanish. This is why Spain works very differently depending on your income source. Remote worker with good income. Spain could be amazing. Retiree with stable pension. Spain could be very attractive. Trying to move with no job, no Spanish, and no plan. That is much riskier. Spain can improve your lifestyle, but it may not automatically improve your income. Spain has become one of the most attractive countries in Europe for remote workers. The lifestyle makes sense. Good weather, good food, strong cities, decent transport, co-working spaces, cafes, airports, beaches, and time zones that work well for Europe. Spain also has a digital nomad visa route for people who want to live in Spain while working remotely for companies or clients outside Spain. That makes Spain more realistic for some remote workers than countries where long-term stay options are unclear. But remote work in Spain still needs proper planning. You need to check income requirements, tax position, health insurance, paperwork, and whether your work setup is legally allowed. Do not just arrive and assume everything will be fine. Spain can be a great remote work base, but it rewards people who plan properly. Now let's talk about one of the least glamorous parts of moving to Spain: paperwork. Spain is beautiful, but Spanish bureaucracy can be frustrating. Residency appointments, documents, translations, certificates, tax numbers, healthcare registration, local registration, visa renewals. This is where the dream can start to feel very real. And then there are taxes. Spain is not Dubai. You are not moving there for a no-tax lifestyle. If you become a tax resident in Spain, your tax situation can become more complex, especially if you have income from abroad, investments, property, or business income. This is not something to guess. Before moving, speak to a proper tax advisor who understands Spain and your home country, because the lifestyle might be relaxed, but the paperwork is not always relaxing. Healthcare is one of Spain's biggest advantages, but it is also something you need to understand properly. Spain has a strong healthcare reputation, but access depends on your status, employment, residency route, insurance, and paperwork. If you work legally and contribute into the system, you may be able to access public healthcare. If you are on certain visa routes, you may need private health insurance, and in some cases, residents who do not otherwise qualify may be able to access public healthcare through special arrangements after meeting requirements. The important point is this: do not move to Spain assuming healthcare will automatically work the same way it does for locals from day one. Check your route, check your insurance, check what you are actually entitled to. Healthcare can be a huge plus in Spain, but you need to set it up properly. Safety is another reason people consider Spain. Compared to many countries, Spain feels safe, especially when it comes to violent crime. People walk late, families are out in the evenings, public spaces are busy, and many cities feel comfortable in a way that matters for everyday life. But Spain is not crime-free. In tourist areas, pickpocketing and petty theft can be an issue, especially in places like Barcelona, busy transport areas, beaches, and crowded tourist zones. So the safety picture is balanced. For daily life, Spain can feel very safe, but in tourist-heavy areas, you still need common sense. For many people, safety is one of Spain's strongest lifestyle points. Food is one of the easiest reasons to love Spain. The daily lifestyle around food is a huge part of the appeal. Fresh bread, coffee, seafood, tapas, markets, fruit, olive oil, local restaurants, long lunches, late dinners, and a culture where food is not just fuel, it is part of life. Spain also gives you variety. The food in Galicia is different from Andalusia. The Basque Country is different from Valencia. Catalonia is different from the Canary Islands. And if you enjoy simple, fresh, social food culture, Spain is hard to beat. This is one of the reasons Spain feels so livable, because quality of life is not only about money. Sometimes it is about how your normal Tuesday feels. Now let's talk about culture and integration. Can you live in Spain without speaking Spanish? In some expat-heavy areas, yes, you can survive. But if you actually want to build a life there, learn Spanish. It changes everything. It helps with paperwork, neighbours, doctors, landlords, local businesses, friendships, and feeling less like an outsider. Spain can be warm and social, but it is not your job to expect the country to adapt completely to you. If you move there, make an effort, learn the language, respect local customs, understand that each region has its own identity. And remember that Spain is not just a lifestyle product for foreigners. It is a real country with real people, real pressures, and real housing issues. That mindset matters. Can foreigners buy property in Spain? Generally, yes. Foreigners can buy property in Spain, and you do not necessarily need to be a resident just to purchase. But buying property and having the right to live in Spain long-term are not the same thing. That is the mistake some people make. Owning a home does not automatically solve your visa situation. Spain also ended its golden visa route, so buying property is no longer the same straightforward residency by investment route it used to be, and there has been political debate around foreign property ownership, especially non-EU buyers and housing pressure, so property in Spain can still be a dream. But you need to be careful. Check the region, check taxes, check community fees, check whether you can legally rent it out, check the visa side, and never buy based only on emotion after one amazing holiday. If you are serious about moving to Spain, visas matter. Your options depend on your nationality, income, work situation, family situation, and whether you are an EU citizen or not. Some people may use a digital nomad route. Some may use a non-lucrative visa. Some may move through work. Some may come through family. Some may be retirees. But the key point is this: Spain may feel relaxed, but your legal right to stay is not something to treat casually. You need to know how long you can stay, whether you can work, whether you can renew, what income you need, what insurance you need, and whether your time counts toward long-term residency or citizenship. A beautiful country is not enough. You need a legal plan. Now let's talk about citizenship. Spain can be a real long-term home for some people, but citizenship is not instant. For most people, the general route to Spanish citizenship by residence is much longer than simply living there for a couple of years. There are shorter routes for certain nationalities and situations, but for many foreigners, this is a long-term process. You also need to consider language, integration, legal residence, documentation, and whether dual citizenship rules affect you. So if you are moving to Spain, ask yourself, am I looking for a lifestyle base, a few years abroad, permanent residency, or citizenship and a full long-term future? Those are very different plans, and they need different decisions. One of Spain's underrated advantages is location. Spain is very well connected to Europe. From cities like Madrid, Barcelona, Malaga, Valencia, Alicante, Palma, and the Canary Islands, you can travel to other parts of Europe fairly easily. For UK travellers, Spain is especially convenient. For remote workers, Spain can also work well with European time zones. And if you like weekend trips, Spain is one of the best countries in Europe for variety. You can go from beaches to mountains, islands to cities, old towns to modern business districts, and local villages to major airports. Spain is not just a place to live, it can be a base. Now let's talk about the downsides people do not always mention. Spain can be bureaucratic. Housing can be difficult in popular areas. Salaries can be lower than people expect. Taxes can be more serious than some foreigners realize. Tourist-heavy areas can feel overcrowded. Summer heat can be intense in parts of the country. Some places are seasonal, meaning they feel alive in summer and quiet in winter. And if you do not speak Spanish, you may always feel slightly outside the real version of the country. That does not mean Spain is bad. It just means Spain is real. And real life is always more complicated than the dream version. Spain is probably for you if you want sunshine, food, walkable cities, beaches, social living, culture, safety, healthcare access, slower pace, and a lifestyle that feels less rushed. It is especially strong if you have remote income, savings, a pension, a business, or a job that allows you to enjoy the lifestyle without relying too heavily on low local wages. Spain is also great if you value daily quality of life. Coffee outside, fresh food, evening walks, weekend trips, a slower rhythm. If those things matter to you, Spain can be a serious life upgrade. Spain might not be for you if you need very high salaries, hate paperwork, want everything to move quickly, do not want to learn Spanish, dislike heat, or expect the whole country to feel like a holiday resort. It may also frustrate you if you move without a financial plan. Spain is not a place where I would move and hope everything just works out. You need to know your income, your visa route, your housing plan, your tax situation, and which part of Spain actually fits your life, because Spain can be perfect for one person and completely wrong for another. So, Spain looks perfect, but could you actually live there? Honestly, yes, for the right person. Spain has one of the strongest lifestyle offers in Europe. Weather, food, safety, culture, healthcare, beaches, cities, islands, and a pace of life that many people are craving. But Spain is not a fantasy. Housing can be hard, salaries can be lower, bureaucracy can test your patience, taxes need planning, and the version of Spain you love on holiday may not be the version you can afford or enjoy every day. My verdict: Spain could be one of the best places in Europe to live. But only if you choose the right area, bring the right income, respect the culture, and understand the difference between visiting Spain and actually building a life there. The dream is real, but so is the reality. Let me know what country you'd like me to explore next, and consider subscribing. I post videos like this every week.